story ever told.
Presented by the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Tonight we present A Child in the House, a drama based on a teaching from the greatest life ever lived. In the town of Jezreel in Galilee, the important merchant Silas is not in the marketplace on this day. And those who ask for him are told that he is at home. There is no further explanation except that Silas is there on a matter of utmost importance. Now, at this moment, Silas is giving orders to his servants concerning this important matter.
That will be all in regard to the first meal. Now, this room seems quite suitable. Should please the girl very much. We must remember that. The sole function of every person in this household shall be to please that girl. And foremost in the plan is this. The girl who will arrive has lost her mother very recently.
Silas.
Yes, dear?
Do you think it's proper to discuss that with the servants?
But it's very important, Rhoda. Just let me continue and you'll see why.
All right, dear.
Well, then, since the child has lost her mother, she is completely orphaned. So, the word mother is not to be used in her presence, nor shall anyone speak of death. We want the child to take up a completely new life here. She must forget her unhappy past, and we must all help her to do that. Is that understood? Now go about your duties.
Silas.
Yes, dear.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate all this.
You talk as though you didn't expect me to do it.
After all, she was my sister's child. You have no obligation toward her.
Perhaps I was thinking beyond obligations to something else. This may be the answer to that wish that's no longer spoken in this house. Yes, it's my ambition that she shall be our child.
Oh, Silas, if it could only happen.
It will. That's why I've taken such pains with every detail about her arrival. That's why this room, these clothes, the very finest.
I never knew you felt so strongly about it.
But why?
Because we ourselves didn't go to Nazareth to fetch her here. Instead, you sent your steward.
And for very good reason. I've never seen the child. You've seen her only once, a long time ago. So she doesn't really know us. By sending Obadiah to fetch her, it gives him the chance to tell her all about us. So when she sees us, she won't think us complete strangers. She'll feel more at ease with us.
I hope it works out that way.
It will. I thought it all out too carefully to let anything go wrong now. I have my heart set on making her our child, Rhoda. The child will love us.
I hope so. Oh, Silas, the door.
We'll answer it ourselves. I told the servants. Now, give me your hand. We shall go to greet the child together. And, Rhoda, let me kiss her first.
If you wish.
Since she hasn't ever seen me before, it's important I show her that I'm glad to have her here. So come. Now, are you ready, Rhoda?
Yes, Silas.
Good. Now. Obadiah.
Yes, sir.
And this is the girl? Well, Naomi, my dear, how good to see you. Come in. We welcome you here. And as an expression of our feeling, allow me. There, my dear. Well, have you nothing to say?
Silas. Now.
Oh, yes, Rhoda, of course.
Oh, Naomi. Naomi, you poor child, what you've been through. How you must have felt so alone. It must have been such a...
Rhoda, please. Remember what I questioned the servants about before.
Oh, yes.
Well, Naomi, how do you like our house? It's your house now, too. Well, have you nothing to say?
I can't.
Child, what is it? What's wrong?
Silas, perhaps she's tired from the long journey. Let me take her to a room where she can rest.
Rhoda, perhaps you'd best do that.
Come, child, come with me. You shall rest and you'll feel better.
I can't understand it, Obadiah, crying that way. Did I do anything wrong? You did tell her about us, didn't you, Obadiah?
Yes, sir. I spoke, but she didn't listen.
Why, what do you mean?
It's the truth. I spoke, but she didn't hear me. That child lives within herself now.
I see. I had such hope. I wanted everything to go right, but, well, we mustn't be hasty. We must see what happens.
Silas, these past 2 days you've been brooding.
Yes, this thing has weighed on me very heavily. Rhoda, I don't like to say it, but it's a disappointment, the whole thing.
The child?
Yes. I had such hopes of what it might be like. Having a child here, having a child love us. But it isn't that way at all.
Be patient.
I've been patient. You can't even talk to her. At least she doesn't answer. How can you keep on being nice to someone who won't even talk to you?
Perhaps if you were gentler, kinder.
Kinder? Haven't I given her everything a child would want? A fine room, a nice clothes. Hey, maybe that's it. Perhaps there's something else she wants and she's too shy to ask for it. I know. I'll have a talk with her right now.
Be gentle. She frightens very easily, Silas.
I shall be gentle. Come, we'll go to her room. Naomi?
Yes, sir.
Naomi, Well,
Silas, what is it?
those clothes she wears. My dear child, may I ask what's the meaning of, well, the clothes you have on? They're the same ones you wore when you arrived, dusty and ragged.
Yes, sir.
But why? Look about this room. The very finest of clothes here. They're yours. We've given them to you.
Silas, please.
Well, wait, Rhoda. Come here, Naomi. No, don't be afraid of me. Come here.
Yes, sir.
Now, tell me. Don't you like these new clothes we've given you?
I like them.
But yet you don't wear them. You wear these. I don't like to say it, child, but even my servants wear better clothes than these. Now, Rhoda, I shall leave you so you can help the child change to these new clothes.
Oh, no, I won't wear them. I won't.
You mean you prefer these ragged ones?
Yes, sir.
I don't understand it. We provided these clothes just for you. We made sure they were the finest. And you choose to wear this in preference to fine linen and silk? It doesn't make sense. At least try the new ones.
I want my own.
But why?
Because my mother made them.
I see. Well, there's nothing I can do then. Rhoda, at least see the child's clothes are washed and mended.
Please, Silas, you shouldn't feel so discouraged.
But it's been a whole week now that the girl's been here and still not so much as a word out of her. To me, at least.
She did thank you for everything.
I expected more than thanks. I thought that first there would come appreciation. And then appreciation would ripen into love. Does anything seem more natural? And it's all been different. She still wears her old clothes. New things lie unused, even unappreciated. All because her mother made the old clothes. She still thinks of nothing but her mother.
And why not? The wound is still fresh. The dead are not buried with earth alone. Silas, did you ever think, if we talked to her about
If
it...
the child doesn't love us, it's foolish to talk to her about it.
I didn't mean that. I meant if we talked to her about her mother.
That's just the thing I wanted to forget. How will she ever grow to love us if we keep talking about her mother?
You might at least try. Everything else has failed.
That much is true. Well, I'll go to her room. I'll talk to her.
No.
Yeah?
Perhaps if it happened more casually.
You may be right. I know. At mealtime, I'll find a way to broach the subject to her very casually. Then we'll see. Well, Naomi, I suppose that...
Yes, sir.
Well, what I meant to say was, we hope that you're happy here. I mean that everyone has a time in their lives when they undergo a great change. They move from one place to another, from one home to another. Isn't that so, Rhoda?
Yes, Silas.
My child, when I was a boy, my father moved our family all the way from Judea here to Galilee. I left all my friends and all the familiar places I knew. It happens that way. Just as it happened to you.
Yes, sir.
Well, then, I found myself thinking of the old life all the time. I used to be very sad till I talked with my brother. We used to recall the old times, the places where we played, the hills and the caves. Then it didn't seem so bad anymore.
You were lucky, sir.
That I had a brother to talk to? Yes, I was. But you have someone to talk to if you want to talk about the things and places you knew and the people.
People?
Yes. Say, your mother, for instance.
My mother?
Yes. You might want to talk about her. And if you do, we'd like to hear it. Well, go on. Say something, child. Go on. Say anything you want to say.
I'm sorry. I must leave the table.
You see? I tried as best I could to lead her gently into talking. At first she just sat there and stared. Then her eyes filled up and she ran away. It's all hopelessly wrong. And it's the child's fault. The child's fault. Rhoda, I've been thinking about it. All night I thought about it. We can find a way to the girl's love if we find things she wants to do or talk about. Except, of course, her mother. But there must be other things. And you should know. After all, she does talk to you sometimes.
Mostly she talks of her mother. But there is something else.
What is it?
The master.
The master? A child of her age talks about the master?
Yes. She's told me of how her mother used to take her to hear him. And she'll often repeat to me, word for word, things she's heard the master say.
Well, tell me, what are some of them? Or perhaps that's the way to bring the child closer to us.
One thing stands out most in my mind. Because it's about love.
Well, go on. Tell me.
She told me she'd heard the master say once, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you.
Love your enemy. Bless them that curse you. That's very strange.
It's good teaching if you think about it. I have.
It may well be good teaching. But hasn't the master ever taught her about loving those who are kind to her? Didn't she ever say anything about that?
Well, not in so many words.
Are you sure the child's repeating correctly what she heard?
I think so.
And it's stranger still. If she's been taught to love those who are enemies, then why can't she love us who've been so good to her? This is too confusing. I'll have Obadiah fetch her here. Obadiah. Obadiah.
Yes, sir. You called me.
Obadiah, would you please bring the girl here? I should like to talk to her.
Yes, sir. I shall bring her at once.
I can't understand it. I've done all I can. I spared no expense to make the child happy. You must admit that, Rhoda.
I know, Silas.
Yet we get no love from her. Why? Especially since she seems to remember the Master's teachings about loving those who hate you. It's confusing, very confusing. But we'll find out now, and then we'll... Oh, Obadiah, well?
Sir, the girl, she isn't in her room.
Then search for her in the garden, in the arbor.
have.
You mean she's not there?
That's what I mean, sir.
Obadiah, she hasn't.
Her room, mistress, is very neat, but disturbing because it is so neat. Every single thing is as it was that very first day when she came here. It gives one a feeling that she's never lived here at all. I think she's run away.
Run away? After all we've done for her?
Oh, Silas, there's no time to think about ourselves and our feelings now. The poor child alone and with no money, nothing. She'll starve.
You're right. We can't let that happen. We must find her at once. And when we do, there's one thing I must find out. Why she couldn't love us. But come, we must find her first.
She's not here, Silas. Not here.
She must be. After all, this is the Master's meeting place. If she were alone and afraid, I'm sure this is the place she would come to. Perhaps if we went to the Master himself, he might know.
Then we must do that.
My friend, I couldn't help but hear. You spoke of the Master, of his knowing something you wish to know.
Yes? But why should it concern you?
We're among his closest followers, Thomas and I.
That's true, sir.
So if we could help...
If you only would. We seek a girl, our niece. She came to live with us and then ran away. We think she's here. She's a thin girl, about so tall, dark-haired, and sad. Very sad.
Many come here who are sad and thin of face and have dark hair.
But if the child is here, we'll find her for you.
Well, we've searched the whole place. It seems the child you seek is not here, Silas.
My sister's only child.
I'm very sorry, my dear woman.
Oh, Silas.
Well, perhaps it's best this way. She never loved us. Never even wanted us. I'm sure of that now.
How can you say that?
Because I know. How? Why do you keep asking how I know?
Thomas questions everything. It's his way of learning.
Well, I know we did all we could for the child, and she gave us no love in return.
And just what did you do for her?
Gave her a home, the best of food, the finest of clothes to wear. That's what we did.
Is that all?
What more can you do to merit love? Mind you, I gave it willingly. I was under no obligation to do it. All I asked in return was a little love. A child in a house where there were no children before.
Ah, yes, it's a pity.
I knew you'd understand how we felt once I explained the facts.
Oh, I meant it was a pity for the girl's sake.
For the girl's sake?
Yes. You know, I believe I could find the girl for you. But it would do no good if you were to find her now.
You mean she'll never love us?
Silas, before I tell you where the girl is, would you do something to please me?
Of course.
Come with me. Stand before the Master. Let him hear your complaint against the girl. How you did so much for her and found her loveless.
The Master? Yes. Perhaps he would like to know that this child stood before him and heard his words about loving those who hate her, but that she couldn't find it in her heart to love us, who did so much good for her.
Yes, Silas, I think that you could do nothing better than to accuse the girl.
Why do you say it that way, Thomas?
Come with me, and after you have listened to the master, I shall help you find the girl. Come. Silas, we stand before him now. Speak of the girl, of yourselves.
Yes, Thomas. I shall try. Master, my wife and we've come here seeking a child who has run away from our home. We sought to make her our child, to make her love us. But though we gave the child everything we could, she didn't love us. Not even though she had heard your words. Master, what can one do with such a child who knows neither appreciation for all we gave her, nor love for anyone?
Judge not, that ye be not judged.
Aye, Master. I be judged? What wrong have I done? Giving the child a good home, food and clothes? Was that wrong? It's not I, but the child who is at fault, Master.
Why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? First, cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
Thomas, what the master said to me, was it my fault that the child didn't love her?
Wasn't it, Silas?
I gave her everything I could.
Not everything.
Oh, there may have been some things I overlooked, but what difference? She didn't even accept the things I did give her. She just didn't love us, that's all.
So you accuse her again, do you? First, take the beam out of your eye. First, examine yourself, Silas. True, you gave her bodily comfort, a home, food, clothes. But in return, you sought love.
Was it not fair to expect it?
Only love can bring forth love. That's why the Master said to us once, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another." Yet of all the things you told the Master you gave the child, love was not one of them. Yet you accused her of not loving you. That's why the Master spoke as he did.
Oh, yes, Silas. I understand now. I know now, and it's true. You gave her all things but love, and expected she would love you. Silas, the Master was right. You accused the child of the very thing that was lacking in you.
I begin to see now, Rhoda. The fine clothes we gave her, she put aside for the ragged garments her mother made for her. Because ragged as they were a sign of her mother's love.
What we gave her was bought with silver. What her mother gave her was evidence of love. The fault has been ours, Silas.
Not ours, Rhoda, but mine.
Now, Silas, I think you're ready to find her.
Where?
Where her heart is.
And where is that?
I found the answer by asking myself the same question. It is the place where she and her mother were happy together. Go there, and I'm sure you will find her.
This must be the house. The sentry at the town gate said so.
Such a hovel. I didn't know my sister was so poorly off.
That poor child is alone. Thomas was right. We'll go in.
Who is it? What do you want here? Oh.
Yes, child. Your aunt and uncle. We've come to find you.
Yes, dear. We thought you might be alone and frightened.
I am. But I had to be here.
Wait now. This was your mother's house. But we've come here to make sure you're no longer alone or frightened.
You went a long journey to the Nazareth just because of me?
Yes, my dear. It's because we love you and want to protect you.
You love me? I didn't know that. I thought you took me in just to keep me from starving. If I thought that you loved me, that you wanted me, I would have run away. Now I see that you really want me.
Yes, child. It's no fault of yours that you didn't know. Perhaps we didn't know either. But we have seen him.
The man.
Yes. We always wanted you, dear. But that was our difficulty. We thought too much of the love we wanted, not enough of the love you needed from us. The master showed me that when I complained of your not loving me. It was we who didn't give love. How could we have expected it in return? But now, my dear, if you choose to come back with it, I promise that I shall never forget the master's work.
Judge not, that ye be not judged. Why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? First, cast out the beam out of thine own eye. Then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
You have been listening to A Child in the House, another episode in the greatest story ever told, from the greatest life ever lived.